I am very pro Boxx nerf, as I think most players of like a mid to high level are. Fucking get on them already, guys. It's gonna happen. I think the majority of people want Boxx nerfs or even bans, for the very least, I think. Yeah, we've had ample time for people to get new boxes. I mean, it wasn't half the whole argument that you could just pick up and play on anybody's old box. Come on. There's also people doing cheap conversions to frame ones. I'm also skeptical of two things, both of the argument that the GameCube controller is unergonomic in the context of maybe if your hands are hurting because you're playing too many video games, you should just take a break from playing video games, or maybe play less video games in general. This is not a vocation, it's a hobby. And then also, I don't know, like there are so many people out there in the office world with carpal tunnel from typing on a keyboard all day. So many people with hand issues who play piano. Why do we think that that format, which has been confirmed to not be great for your hands, is suddenly superior to the GameCube controller, right? I don't know where we came with this logic. We are offloading the stress onto different parts of your hand, for sure. But to say that it's ergonomic, I don't know that that's true. Thank you, Ginger, appreciate it. The thing is, like the controller, I think we ought to be able to agree is competitively advantaged in a lot of ways, right? I don't know how we understand that Melee is a game that is balanced by its competitive difficulty. We're the same community that advocated for L canceling as an essential component of the game's balancing because it kept faster characters in check. And then to think that to change the physical executive elements of doing these techniques, changing those fundamentally and not thinking that that changes game balancing. It's the same argument as like why like a Dragon Punch is an essential part of the balancing of an FGC game, right? Where it forces you to release block and there's a time involved with the execution of the command, right? Those same things are true of Melee, and maybe it's to a lesser degree or maybe it's an unintentional thing, but it is a component of the execution. It's the same reason that Z-Jump is advantaged. Nobody will ever fast fall out of a shield drop as fast as a Boxx player. It's just not happening. Like, it's just physically not possible. And this I can see people having an issue with this argument. The ease of accessibility to inputs in the game does inform the decision making that people make, right? Like something being more or less accessible changes the decisions that you make in those moments. And so the play styles of people with two different types of controllers are going to be subtly but fundamentally inclined to be different. And so I think that it's a shame that you end up having an advantage if you know what kind of controller your opponent is playing on. And now I'm not in favor of banning it because I think that they're too widespread. There's lots of different like financial investments and we're very far gone and people are all playing on it. But I think that keeping it in check is a necessary component of the game health, right? I get that we can't ban it. It's everywhere, it's been too long, everybody's playing on it, but we should keep it. Personally, I think inarguably worse than the GameCube controller, because if it is for accessibility, we should facilitate that, but not risk it fundamentally changing the way that people approach the game and the way that you have to play against people on that controller. But this is it too. This is it too, Raj. There are things that you can do on Boxx that you can't do on GameCube controller and vice versa. I agree. But then we have to know what controller our opponent is playing on in order to be informed about what options they're going to be going for. Maybe in small circumstances, but still it's a thing. We've just conceded that, right? To say that they're the same or that it provides no advantage or no disadvantage or just no difference is just incorrect. And that's even without getting into the nebulous territory of those physical components impacting the way that people approach the game, you know? There's a difference, yeah. And at this point, we have to be okay with it, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't measure it and keep it in check and try and treat it from a holistic perspective in a way that's healthy for the majority of the community to continue competing. Like, it's okay, it's here, it's fine. I don't hate people for playing on it, right? Like, I was a wobbler. I'm not gonna judge people for strategies that I don't like or I mean, I will a little bit. But like ultimately people can approach the game however they want to, but it's the responsibility of the community and the game to keep things in check in a way that is healthy for the game long-term. No, I realized the error of my ways, dude. I saw that it was degenerate and fucking up the game and I quit wobbling, you know? Like it's not worth it. There are so many different holistic reasons to play Melee that aren't just about winning and losing, and it's about the community and about the interpersonal stuff, and also, you know, winning in a way that is respectable. It has value because ultimately we're playing for social validation in a big part of the game, right? Like winning when everybody hates you winning does not feel as good as winning when it's irrefutable. And I think that we should aspire to hold people to a standard that promotes the things about Melee that are sick, dude. And we should celebrate that as a component or as a pursuit in winning, right? Like I was talking yesterday, the two things I brought up from Supernova were that I thought that the Moki Junebug Game 4 is so like core to the moments that make you want to play Melee. That shit was so hype.
Oh, the up air, the shield drop. Is it gonna do it?
Oh, no, he's doing the blender.
Tech.
Not yet. Not yet. We get there. No. But the up B's gonna get him back. Oh no. Moki brings this to game 5.
Right? It's like, dude's betting it all. He's jumping off stage. He's risking it, right? The Rat Monster agent thing is so sick.
Smash. Not being tight enough on your tech and getting shield grab. These are the things Luigi needs.
Potentially final stock for agent. Here comes the edge.
You are on last stock, brother. What are you doing?
Oh my!
No! Relax! Oh, he's
The
just
side
a
B
boy!
ends it!
Rat Monster!
No way!
Are you kidding me?
Rat Monster does such crazy plays, right? Such committal hard reads that pan out because he's just nasty, right? And I thought that, yeah, Ginger playing J-Move was so sick. It was oppressive. It felt dominant. It was like, this guy can't do anything. Like, those things are cool, man. And like, I'm not saying that people shouldn't play to win. Like, people should be able to push the game as far as they can to win. But it's the responsibility of the community also to set boundaries on that and to keep it healthy and not degenerate, and to promote good play and a good time and good community and a fun game because it's a game. Look, at the very top level, at the level of play that everybody watches, yes, it's a vocation, it's a lifestyle, it's a career, but for the majority of people, even for me, for you guys, for almost everybody who plays Melee, it's a hobby. And a great hobby, but a hobby. And I think that we need to keep a little bit of perspective about keeping this thing competitively fair, letting it be healthy and competitive, but also approachable and fun, you know? I get that it's complicated and there's a balance of interests. Like, I'm not trying to oversimplify this stuff. But I feel like a lot of the discourse around this game has been about it being intrinsically valuable and about winning being the only thing and about doing whatever you can to get the W. And I think that there is space to call things lame again and to call things cool again and to celebrate people who are making big reads or taking risks and making it pay off. And maybe you don't win every time, but that's those moments where people do, where they bet it on black and they win. That's fucking sick, man. Yeah, and so the most frustrating thing about all this controller discourse, it's not to bring back bullying. That's the thing that people don't get, right? No, it's bring up pride and honor and an understanding that competition comes with positive emotions when you win and negative emotions when you lose. And it's not about pretending. Thank you for the Prime, brother. Appreciate it. It's not about pretending that people don't get upset when they lose, because of course you're gonna get upset when you lose. It's about people learning how to healthily express that shit with respect and not pretending that they're not mad, but being okay with being mad or being invested in this thing or caring. Is that no, it's not a green screen. It's my bedroom window, dude. Like it's a wall. Is remapping Z and L not cool? In the current rule set, it is allowed. Go for it. It's pretty whatever, honestly, in terms of accessibility, because you're still putting it on triggers. I don't know why you would. I think it actually probably not a great thing. Nobody's gonna complain about it. It's probably not gonna benefit you a whole lot. So I don't know why you would, because having the two triggers on two different shoulders has its benefits. You like wave dashing with Z and grabbing with L, then go for it. You could also wave dash with R and then grab with L. But yeah, no, there's no rule against it. Go for it. I think that a lot of this shit should be illegal in general. But that's, it's a hard conversation to have when the Boxx is illegal. And I think that there is a way to approach all this stuff that I think does keep the Boxx legal, but also doesn't allow for this other crazy shit like the toast ring. But it's a long conversation. To keep it brief, I think that we need to keep the best GCC controller possible as like the gold standard. Like the best stock OEM controller is like the standard. And like all controller modifications or changes need to be below that threshold. And so if we can nerf the Boxx so that it's here, then it's fine. The second it starts being here, or God forbid here, then bring it down. Opinion on Z-Jump, I think that while it's legal, use it. I don't think it should be legal. Same thing with the Boxx. Like I said before, when it does change the input and the accessibility of that input, it changes the balancing. It does, because it makes things easier or harder. And I think that, you know, for years, people wanting to talk about Melee like it's deep and cerebral. The neutral is the reason people play, and we're also smart for playing the game. And we're talking about semi-core reaction points and fighting game fundamentals, which are all true components of the game. But I think that people also, as a consequence of that, understated the importance of just being clean and fast and technical, and how much you can just outmuscle people in Melee. Because it's a lot. You can just be faster than people and beat most people. You know, execution's a huge component of Melee. And maybe it's just people wanting to mythologize the game and make it feel bigger and like more special than it kind of is. People kind of downplayed the necessity of good execution, but it changes a lot, dude. You can be a moron and be the cleanest motherfucker in the world and hit hard, and you will beat most people. Melee neutral is non-reactive and scrappy enough in moments that if you get a hit and you take it to death, you're gonna whoop people. Is this a nerf tournament? I have no idea if Collision's running nerfs. June 1? All right, true. I mean, June's good, man. June, overshoot grabbing to punch, that'll happen. Really need to standardize it. I agree. I just think that, like, look, like if the coordinate fuzzing is the hill that you're trying to die on, then, and if that's the thing that's actually the issue for you playing, you're the problem, because that is going to be completely imperceptible to anybody except for the biggest cheaters. Gary, thank you so much for the tier 1. Appreciate it, man. Coordinate fuzzing isn't dumb. I mean, it's necessary. I get when people say randomness, it sounds scary, but it's necessary to prevent really degenerate shit. The only thing that it prevents people from doing is like literally pinpointing an exact value, but it prevents people from doing like weird exact angle bullshit setups that you could never do on a controller. Yeah, it nerfs stuff like the Peach ledge dash, like things like, exactly, like even with notches, you can't be that pixel accurate. Like you get different values like sometimes when you slide to the notch, because also on a controller, just like natively, it shifts around a little bit, and so like you hit the same angle 3 times, you get 3 different values, like even into a notch, and so it prevents consistency in those kinds of places where it lets people do things like exact like Pikachu and Mewtwo like up B setups, and like things you could never actually do on control, like the really precise bullshit, some fucked up Ice Climbers desyncs where you can just like no setup raw desync, which you could never do on a controller, shit like that, like things that are just like actually degenerate. And I get on principle why it sounds bad, but it's one of those things where it literally, if this is a thing that you could even tell the difference, if you had 2 boxes, one without it and one with it, and you could even tell the difference, then you are the reason it's being nerfed. Yeah, I mean, like the travel time one, I actually think is like the messier one, because the travel time with no physical feedback is probably a pain in the ass to get used to, but again, I think it's necessary as a limiting factor for some of the more degenerate parts of this controller. I also I would be very curious to hear where other people like land on this one, but I personally still think the left hand is the significantly more offensive part of that controller than the right, and I don't know how the narrative has shifted to the right hand being the offensive part. I think that all this shit's cringe. I think we should ban button remapping. I think that we should probably even get rid of notches if we can. I think that fucking a lot of this shit's pretty whack. But I also don't fault anybody for using it while it's legal. That's the issue. That is the issue, is that everybody has these notched shells. But the shells wear out over time. So I think if you said, hey, for the start of 2027, we're not allowing notches, you give people a year. That also gives them a year to use the shell that they already have. The notches are gonna wear out anyways. Yeah, you'd probably be able to recalibrate it, but in a year, you can pay $10 and find a front plate, especially if you just use a repro, which are totally fine. I'm using a repro right now. No, there's a fine line between balance for balance and banning shit based on feelings. I agree, but I think that you need a clear precedent, a clear line in order to enforce this stuff. And yeah, some things are small enough to take them case by case, but I still think there has to be like a grounding to this, like and a method to the madness, you know? Like nobody actually cares about like people taking springs out, because that's very clearly beneficial to hand health, or trigger plugs, because that's also very beneficial to hand health. If people had issues with those things, then we could talk about it. I also think that is so accessible that you could literally do it at home yourself, like anybody could, that it's not much of a conversation. No, so much of this is quantifiable, but if that became a competitive advantage or an issue, I think that then maybe that's a conversation we'd have to broach too. I think that we can currently chalk those up to preferential, and also, you know, mitigating hand strain in the, but also, yeah. People talk about Z-Jump not providing a competitive advantage, but like you were clawing 100% of the time because it provides a competitive advantage. Look, the access to that thing, to being able to do to jump immediately and like instant aerial without having to shift your hand is an advantage. And yeah, Z-Jump also provides a competitive advantage over claw. That's true too. Because you are also not displacing your thumb. How much is necessary when there's one box player in the top 100? Well, maybe we can see where things are going and not leave it 7 more years before it becomes an issue. Maybe we have the opportunity when there's not a whole lot of top level box players, and there's lots of box players. Yeah, one, there's lots in the top 100. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know why I just agreed with that. There are many, right? You have Casey, Nanami, Zuppy, Swift used to be there, NMW, Balloon Day, Rocket. Yeah, no, there's a lot. It's not Ogatsu. Is Zio? I feel like he's not, but something tells me maybe. Unsure. Right, also, Free Palestine also plays on Boxx sometimes. Forest. Like, there's a lot. There's like at least like 15%. And yeah, like I said, I don't fault anybody for doing it, because there are advantages of like lower, like easier replaceable parts. They're people that can actually make new ones. It is competitively advantageous. I think that it does align with a lot of the ways people like to think about the game. I think it actually is more conducive to like really granular thinking about Melee, just because I think it minimizes the number of variables you have to deal with. But I think the frustration that I have, and I think a lot of people have with not just the controller conversation, but with a lot of these conversations about like community stuff or all the stuff I was ranting about earlier, is that right now, and I don't want to speak for everybody, but I would love to hear if somebody might agree, at least to a degree, that I think that there are a lot of people who privately hold some opinions that are somewhat similar to me about some topics that aren't being publicly communicated, and where a lot of the publicly expressed opinions are like the inverse. Right. I think, for example, with the controller stuff, there are a lot of people who, like top level of competitive player, for example, who really dislike the Boxx, but because it doesn't get expressed publicly, it sounds like there's more of a split on these conversations than there really is. I also think that can be true with a lot of things in the community, like a lot of conversations. There's a lot of like cultural conversations or community conversations too that I think there are similar bents to. Like, one of the craziest ones to me, maybe you guys will appreciate this. For example, I got flamed pretty hard for an Ice Climber's opinion I said a couple of months ago on YouTube. I got flamed on Reddit, I got flamed on YouTube, because people were like, where is this guy coming from? He's crazy, this is out of left field, there's completely unsubstantiated, nobody would agree with him, he's a moron. I got that a lot, and if you guys go check the Reddit, go check the YouTube comments for my video, which was not a premeditated video, which was just me talking like I have been today, that I decided to clip and put up on YouTube. Most people disagreed. I got flamed pretty aggressively for it.
It's like your ranking on unranked. What's up, Mono? Matt, I saw your video. You were spitting.
Tell me about it. In detail.
Nah, I don't feel like it.
Give this man some promotion.
He's getting hate.
Oh, yeah. Is it a good video?
I thought so. Don't say that out loud.
And that's not to say we're right. It's just to say that it's not an invalid opinion, and maybe I'm not alone in this just because I'm speaking, like saying something. Maybe there are other people with alternative opinions to things that are being expressed publicly, who just are reluctant to say those things, and I think understandably, because people are flaming people to shit. You know, I'm not saying I'm right in that take. It's my opinion, but you wouldn't think that. You wouldn't think that based on the way it was received. But it's because it's not worth the headache of speaking up, because people get flamed. I said what I thought was, even if you disagree, like a pretty reasonable opinion about Ice Climbers that I think, okay, people didn't like it.